So you see, you all already know how to make a connection with any audience. You smile, you relate to them, you reach out to them, all of those things. So what I'd like to do is show you how that plays into the opening of a speech. I see people all the time begin speeches with things like, "Good morning, my name is, my topic is, I'm going to talk about." Does that get you revved up to listen to them? What you want to do, first and foremost, and it's the first thing you do always, is gain attention. Just like when you introduced yourself to each other, you had to first get the other person's attention. Hey, how about we talk? Right? You gained attention. You have to be aware of each other. Now, how you do that in a speech is a little different from how you do it in a private conversation. What are some strategies for gaining attention when you're making a presentation? Any ideas? Yes?
Start with a quick joke, a funny snippet.
Okay, lots of people like to start with jokes, and that can be fantastic when it works, and if it doesn't work. So you have to really know your audience and make sure your humor is appropriate and on point and is going to work with them. Yes?
Sometimes maybe asking a question or trying to have a hook of some kind. So did you know that X fact?
Absolutely, absolutely. There are some solid strategies and several different ones. One is to ask a question. Even if you're not asking for a direct response, when people hear a question, their mind kind of starts to formulate a response. So you immediately have some involvement from your audience. You could offer an anecdote, give a little story. That's a great way to grab attention from an audience. You could use a compelling quotation. That's another possibility. Did I get your attention today? Does anyone remember what I did?
It's dangerous.
Well, for that activity, I said it was dangerous.
You started with a series of provocative quotes, and you walked right out and looked at all of us.
Thank you. See, I did do what I said you're supposed to do. I started with those quotations that probably sounded a little strange to you and hopefully made you wonder about how that all worked. Okay? So gaining attention. The second thing that you need to do is relate to your audience. Okay? It's not about you, it's about relating to your audience. And one thing that people sometimes forget to do is to tell the audience explicitly how what they're talking about is relevant to them. Okay? Sometimes we assume, well, it's interesting to me, so it will be interesting to them. And that's an assumption that might not always hold up. Okay? Did I relate to you when I was starting today?
Yes.
What did I do?
Around leadership, or there might be opportunities.
The ripple effect and how it enables you to help other people, and everybody wants to help other people, right? So relate to the audience. The third thing that you need to do in your introduction is establish your credibility. Okay, just like when you met people, you shared some information about yourself, probably information that put you in a pretty good light. Okay, you want to establish your credibility with your audience. Now, in our culture, that often means things like formal education, degrees, lots of technical learning, okay? And that can make you an expert. You can convey credibility that way. But there's a lot more to it, okay? What about personal experience? If the topic is homelessness, we could have a sociologist who has studied homelessness, and they would be quite credible. We could also have someone who has experienced homelessness, and they could be quite credible as well. So personal experience is another way to establish your credibility. How about just passion? Sharing that you're really passionate about what you're talking about. Letting the audience know that can make them want to listen to you. Okay? So in the beginning of your speech, you want to establish your credibility in some way. And hopefully it's not by tooting your own horn. That's not the idea. But the idea is to let people know how you're connected to it And that's why I mentioned some of the teaching that I do with students and colleagues and things like that. Okay? So 3 things: every speech introduction, gain attention, relate to your audience, establish your credibility. Are you ready to rush headlong into your speech now? Almost. Okay. The last things that I think you need to do in an introduction are state your central idea and preview your main points. Now, central idea. Does anyone remember from writing classes that dreaded thing called the thesis statement? Do you remember that? That single declarative sentence that makes your point. You need to share that with your audience. Okay? If you don't tell them what the point is, guess what? They're going to be doing all during your speech. Wondering, creating their own ideas about what your message is, which may or may not match up with it. Okay? So you want to be pretty explicit in telling them the message. And my message to you was about how public speaking can be such a rewarding experience when you have some tools and strategies. Okay? Finally, you need to give your audience the roadmap. That GPS, it's for you, but it's also for the audience. So you want to tell them, give them a preview of what you're going to be talking about. So I mentioned how it's going to be about connecting with the audience, structuring messages, and presenting with poise and dynamism.